So there's a whole other way to look at stress, which is to say, how do I get calmer in the mind when my body is freaking out?
There you go.
And I think people will recognize some of what I'm about to describe as kind of Wim Hof-like breathing. It is also traditionally been called Tumo breathing. Some people call it superoxygenation breathing, although then there are other people like Patrick McEwen and company that will say, well, you're actually blowing off more carbon dioxide than you are bringing in oxygen. And so the naming again now is a mess.
Yoga Nidra, breathing.
So Yoga Nidra is exhale emphasized.
Okay.
But Tumo breathing, Wim Hof breathing, and what sometimes is called superoxygenation breathing involves doing a lot of inhale, exhale. It's hyperventilating. It's deliberate hyperventilating, followed by exhales and breath holds, followed by inhales and breath holds.
Yeah.
Now, the repetitive breathing more quickly and deeply, this kind of thing, or some variant of that, all through the mouth or all through the nose, brings up the heart rate and causes the adrenal glands, which sit right above the kidneys, to secrete adrenaline. They make you more alert. And we know this. My lab's been looking at this with a number of different measures, exploring the nervous system and the periphery, like the heart rate, and you see these big inflections in heart rate when people do this. Typically, it makes people feel agitated at first. They feel a little bit agitated. And then when you exhale and hold your breath for 15 seconds or so, or longer in some cases if somebody's skilled at this, what you're doing essentially is you're learning to be calm as your body is flooded with all this adrenaline and the heart rate is going.
You're learning to calm your mind.
That's right. So you're learning actually to separate the mind body.
Your body might be shaking, vibrating.
Right. And you're learning to suppress that.
And you're just...
And that is 100% top-down control. What you're doing in those moments is you're learning to take your forebrain and say, fight the temptation to move. Fight the temptation to breathe. Now, I don't want to suggest anyone do this to the point where it's unsafe. You should never do this anywhere near water, even in a puddle, because people have drowned, people have died doing high oxygenation, breath packing type
and
of
passing
things.
out.
Passing out, it can be quite dangerous. So people need to take the appropriate precautions before they do it. If people have pulmonary issues, it can be problematic. If people get trained in how to do it properly, it can be relatively safe. Okay, and my lab has been doing experiments now we have more than 100 people doing different types of breathing and exploring how it affects the mind and the body. This particular pattern of breathing, 25 or 30 times, followed by an exhale and a hold, and then a big inhale and a hold, sometimes doing more inhaling and exhaling type repetitive breathing. That is really somebody training themselves how to self-induce stress. And we know from some good literature and some emerging science that's still ongoing, that it is possible to get comfortable in these agitated states so that your mind is okay, feels okay when the body is feeling like it wants to tremble or move, that you can learn to suppress that activity. The ice bath is another good example of this. Some people go straight to the ice bath because cold water will almost always induce a low level of stress in people. You have to kind of fight it. Even if you learn to love it.
You still have to every time jumping in there, okay, I got to control the mind essentially to calm.
Right. Exactly. So the body is saying, this is really cold. This is really cold.
Get out now.
And you're pushing back on that, and it's top-down control. It's pure top-down control. And you could do this any number of ways. There's actually something called the hour of pain, which is, before you jump to conclusions, the hour of pain was actually described to me by a friend of mine, former military special operations guy, who said that they place you, this wasn't through military, but this is a kind of outside the military
extracurricular
activities of placing you into one position on the floor, and you have to stay there for an hour, which can be excruciating. There's so much limbic friction where you want to move so badly because the stabilizing muscles of the body and the feedback in our musculoskeletal system says, move, move, move. I just want to move the tiniest bit. And so all that practice it's just a different version of the ice bath.
Yes.
You're learning top-down control. So, we started off with a question about trauma.
Yes.
And we'll get there. But I think it's very important, just to kind of summarize, that people understand, to just ask themselves the question, am I feeling too much agitation, or am I feeling too much exhaustion? If it's too much agitation, emphasize exhales and do the physiological sigh. Yoga Nidra is also a wonderful practice that is kind of the mirror image of superoxygenation breathing. It involves long exhale breathing, lying down on your back, completely relaxing your body, and learning to completely turn off thinking, which sounds hard, but you can learn how to do it very quickly if you do that practice for about 10 minutes a day.
Yeah.
It literally means yoga sleep. So that's a practice that you can do offline, meaning not in the moment of stress, that will allow you to learn how to relax more. Then on the fatigue side, if you're in motion in the morning or in the afternoon and you need to keep going, you need to keep studying, you need to drive to the airport to pick someone up and you're exhausted. Please don't drive if you're really, really exhausted, but inhale emphasized breathing, making your inhales just a little bit longer or more vigorous than your exhales will speed up your heart rate and will make you more alert.
So deeper inhale, shorter exhale.
Yeah, so it looks something like,
that'll speed it up.
yeah. And even 2 or 3 of those, and you'll notice your heart rate will pick up because there's a neural signal from the brainstem sent to the heart to speed up the amount of blood flow.